Super Rugby Aotearoa gets back underway this weekend. Crusaders hosting the Chiefs. Surprise, surprise, the Crusaders are in first spot. 2 from 2, the Chiefs' losing run goes on after conceding a lead against the Highlanders. They managed to somehow lose that game. They're fourth, none from 1. 2020 was relatively close in the same fixture last year, 18 points to 13. Remember, the Chiefs have not tasted victory for a very long time. So you can only go so long before that kind of mental weight starts to kind of drag you down. But fingers crossed they can put in a good shift and give the Crusaders a bit of a scare, because nobody apart from Crusaders fans wants to see the Crusaders just run away with it for another year. I know, somebody has to step up to the plate. The Crusaders did, remember, lose that one game last year in Super Rugby Aotearoa at home. Is it going to be the Chiefs that managed to do it in 2021? Or will it be the Blues? We'll have to wait and see. I'll go through the lineups quickly, some of the stats, and the predictions for this one to see how it's going to go, and you guys can let me know how you think it might play out as well. For the Crusaders, they are starting Boa if you're Ian Smith, Taylor and Ala Alatoa. That's the front row. So apart from Boa, that's pretty much the same front row as it was last week. Scott Barrett and Sam Whitelock are the second row. Havili, that's Sione, he comes in to start at 6. Christie and Cullen Grace are 7 and 8. So again, slight tinkering, but no huge changes there. Mitch Drummond and Richie Moonga are the 19 combo, so it's interesting. They haven't switched it up for Bryn Hall. They tend to kind of flip them week by week, but Drummond had a pretty good game last week, so you can kind of understand keeping him on. Havili and Goodhue are interestingly the midfield combo. Remember, Havili played like fullback last week. He moves into second 5, so there's no Dallas McLeod in the starting lineup, but he is on the bench. Lester Whanganuku, Will Jordan, and Sever Reese 11, 15, and 14. So Will Jordan's a fullback, if I didn't make that very clear. Great to see Will Jordan get a start. I get the feeling they've maybe moved Havili into second 5 so they can play Will Jordan at the same time. You don't want to not be playing Will Jordan if you've got Will Jordan, right? So Havili is kind of a perpetually underrated player, and he's very versatile. He can play pretty much half the back line, but he likes fullback, but it's hard when Will Jordan's there. So we'll see how things go. Like I mentioned, McLeod's there. Dunshea comes in on the bench. Fetty Douglas comes in on the bench. Moody drops to the bench, as I mentioned. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same side. There's still a lot of All Blacks in that team. For the Chiefs, they've also made a few changes. O'Neill, Tokiaho, and Ta'avao as the front row. So Ta'avao gets a start. He was on the bench last time. Tupo Va'i is there. And Josh Lord gets his debut. What a place to go for your debut. Down to the Crusaders. Not an easy task. Mitch Brown, interestingly, is back in the lineup from the bench. I think he was last week. He's number 6. So there's no Finau this week. Callum Boshier, he's getting his debut from the bench as well. But you've also got Sam Kane, Luke Jacobson. That makes out the 4-pack. You'd probably like the Crusaders 4-pack a wee bit more if you had the choice, even though you got the All Blacks captain and the Chiefs. Weber and Gatlin 19 combo. Weber could certainly use a good game. Gatlin will have a chance to prove himself against New Zealand's number 1 guy at the moment. Interestingly, they've put Albie on the bench, Anton Leonard Brown. So Quinn Tupaia, who's back from injury, gets a crack at 12. He'll have to be defensively pretty sharp because it's an area where he's maybe had a few woes in the past. Wainui's at 13. Nana Saturo left wing. Sean Stevenson gets a crack on the right wing. So there's no Jonah Lowe this week. And Damien McKenzie is at fullback. So a bit of tinkering. Tahuri Orangi is also back on the bench. Akoi drops to the bench. Mafaleo drops to the bench. Yeah, man. Look, there's a bit of inexperience in that Chiefs lineup. I mean, likewise with the Crusaders. Not all these guys are kind of veterans, but still, I worry this could get a bit messy. Hopefully not. Like I mentioned, last year it was pretty close. I mean, it's only been one game for the Chiefs and their one loss. And there were some bright spots despite the loss. They had like 36 breaks in the game, which was a stupid amount, like unbelievable. Was it 36 defenders beaten or clean breaks? It was a lot, but they still managed to lose. They only scored 2 tries, which was kind of concerning, like some really good attacking numbers, but not that much on the scoreboard. But yeah, it's hard to tell after just one game. The Crusaders scored 9 tries in 2 games, which is, but not perfect. I mean, they average 14 penalties conceded a game, which is high. Their discipline's an issue. The competition average, I think, is 12, and if you take the Crusaders numbers out, it's like 11. So it's not that much drastically more than the rest of the competition, but they're still the highest. And they kick the most, interestingly. There seems to be a trend in recent times, the way the game is played, that teams kick the most. People always talk about how much the All Blacks kick. The Crusaders are kicking more than any team. I know it's only 2 game sample, so it's not a huge amount, but average amount of kicks, 24 per game from the Chiefs, which is the highest in Super Rugby Aotearoa. The bookies have got the Crusaders by 16 points. Rugby Forecast algorithm is going one step further, saying Crusaders by 20. So by all accounts, it's going to be a long day at the office for the Chiefs, but I will certainly be wishing them all the best in their trip down to Christchurch. It's not an easy place to go. Hopefully they get a good crowd and we get some entertaining rugby. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think. How do you think this one's going to go? That's what we're going to do. See you later.